Hello everyone! Today's tutorial is all about how you can create this loose watercolor style chickens. For those of you who might like to have a little help drawing, you could head over to my Ko-fi page. That's where I have all the line drawings for my paintings I do on my YouTube channel. I'm going to be using this set, the Paul Rubens watercolors, to do mine in, but you can use any watercolor that you might have. You're going to need a little salt. That's going to help create those real granular patterns inside of our chickens. I can't wait to show you how this works. You're going to need a little paper towel. I'm going to be using some watercolor brushes, but you can use any kind you'd like. And I'm going to be painting on Canson watercolor paper, 140-pound watercolor paper. The technique we're going to be using today is called a wet on wet technique. I'm going to take my water, clear water, and just put it right directly inside of the chicken shape. I want to keep it inside of my chicken. Watercolor always flows where the paper is wet, so I want to keep it just right inside of the chicken. I want to have enough water inside of there so you can see it shining, and maybe even just a little bit of a puddle as well. I'm going to be sticking with those more neutral colors, those neutral tone colors, and a little bit of the dark Payne's gray as well. The first little hen I'm going to be starting with the color yellow ochre. I'm going to be tapping that color inside of my hen. If you have enough water in that area, you should see your paint kind of flow slightly. This particular technique, I'm not going to worry about layering my colors in. I'm going to go a little bit more bold with my color. So I'm adding in about a cream or a milk consistency in my colorations. I'm going to be tapping them on. It's okay to leave some light spots, but enough water in there should be moving that color around because I need that water to be able to put the salt on to create those activated little spots with the granulation of the salt. So you can see I have a fair amount of color, and remember, watercolor always dries lighter, so the color you're seeing now while it's wet isn't going to look that way. I'm going to take just a little pinch of salt, kind of grind it a little bit in my hand, and I'm going to just let it go in one little particular area. I'm not looking to cover my whole chicken in salt, but just one little area that's going to be kind of an area that will have those granular colors down below. The salt is really kind of magical, and it's a fun process to do, but you need to have enough water and enough color to make it work well. For my little chicken in the middle, I'm going to be doing the same process, adding the water on, but this particular chicken, now you can see how wet it is. You can see the shine inside of there and how much water I have there. I'm going to be picking up that color, Payne's gray, and tapping a little bit of that dark blue into my chicken. I'm also going to be adding the color burnt brown as well, which is a darker umber color, and I'm going to combine those two colors together. Those are going to blend really well. And the same thing, once I have my color tapped on, I'm going to take the salt and granulate it as well between my fingers into just one little area of my chicken. This one you can really see the water shine, so that should give you an idea of how much water I have in the middle of that chicken. And just a pinch of salt, and to get it to drop, I kind of just wiggle it between my fingers and let it drop in a certain little area. Not all over, but just right in between. And the last little chicken, I'm going to switch it up just a little bit. I'm going to be adding a little bit more burnt sienna in this one, make it a little bit more of that orangey, rusty color for this little chicken. Now you could make these chickens any color you wanted to. You could get super creative and create a pink chicken or a purple chicken. It doesn't really matter because once you have the shape drawn, your eye's going to read it as a chicken. It's a fun way to practice doing these little chickens. That's one of the reasons why I love having the tracers. I like doing them too. I draw them once, but then I can use the tracers to go ahead and make many different copies. A matter of fact, I used my tracer, I flipped it around upside down so I could go ahead and get the mirror image of the chicken. I did one that had multiple chickens on it. So you can use the tracers in a variety of ways. It doesn't have to be exactly the same way that I used mine. I'm going to be showing you some ideas of how you can make some tags from these. These would make great bookmarks. These would make fun little story characters. If you're a journaler, these would be beautiful inside of a journal as well. and a little bit of salt on this little gal, and she's going to be ready. Now I'm going to have to set this aside and let it dry all the way before I do the next steps. You can't brush off. We're going to be brushing the salt off at the end to reveal the little bit of granular quality. So you need to set it aside and let it dry before you do any more steps on these particular chickens. Here you can see where I did a variety of 4, and I just used my tracer. I just flipped it over on my light box, and then I was able to trace them the other way. This one's in the process of drying as well, so I have a little bit of salt on there, and I'm just going to set it aside. I love using those tracers to be able to easily go ahead and do the drawing part quickly and then get right on into my watercolor part. While that's drying, I wanted to show you an idea of what you could do to create a tag. Now I took that same tracer and I traced my images onto just a plain tag, and then I did trace it onto a piece of copy paper that I had printed a design out on. Now I don't have anything fancy, this is just a regular old printer paper, but you can go ahead and watercolor on it. You just won't get as much movement, or you can't saturate the paper as much, or you're going to paint a hole in it. But it does work to do a little bit of painting on it. So I used a little bit more red in this one, and it kind of dried to more of that pink chicken look, and I added some darker brown on there. I'm going to be adding some ink work on this one too to finish it off, but it's a great look. It has that little subtle worn pattern in the background from the paper I chose, and having that little chicken on the top is so sweet. So there's lots of different ways that you can use these little chickens. It's a quick paint, and it is a fun process to do. The other one, I'm going to just be painting directly on top of it. The paper of the tags is kind of got a little bit of a shine on it. Not a lot, but it's not as absorbent as what the copy paper is. It has got a little bit more of a sheen to it. So when I went ahead and I painted that chicken on the other one without the paper on it, I was able to use the salt on the top and create the granular look on that one too. And I was so surprised at how well it actually turned out. Here you can see how much water I was putting on top of that tag, and that's the key to having that granular look. You need to have the water and you need to have the pigment. So I was able to do that a lot easier on that particular paper than just the copy paper. And in the end, you'll see how much granular action really the pattern did show up on that little tag. Once this little chicken had dried, I went ahead and I took a glue stick and I put the glue on the tag is what I thought it would be the easiest to do, because that paper is a little thicker than the copy paper. I just used a glue stick, put the glue all over it, and then put my little chicken on the top. Inking the edges always looks great on tags, so I used a little bit of the Ranger's ink in the color Ground Espresso and went all the way around the edges of this little chicken tag. And for the final step, I need to add a little bit of ink, so I'm going to be using my Micron ink pen, which is a permanent ink, and I go ahead and I do that sketchy quality around my hen, and that just sets her off and brings her to the front of this little tag. We'll take a closer look at her in the end. The other little hen is all dry, so I need to rub that area where the salt is, just to rub it off. And then that's when you're going to see the granulation patterns that have been created by the salt. They look really cool, almost like little star patterns underneath there. To create a little bit more interest on the background of this piece, I loaded my brush with some brown color and some water to get a nice little wet brush, and then I went ahead and I tapped it to create more of a speckled background. I was going to let that dry just a little bit, and then I was going to do a color wash over the background as well. I almost forgot, I do need to add the combs on the top of their heads and the little wattles underneath. I use an orangey red color. I don't have a lot of water on my brush. I want it very dense in color because it's such a tiny little area. I don't want it to move around at all. I want it to stay put. So basically I just with a damp brush, I go into my red color, get some of it out, and then go directly to my paper. For the little bit of the beak, which is really super tiny, I add some yellow ochre onto that. And then to create the bottom part where the dirt is or the ground is, I just picked up some color that was on my palette and just used that. And then for the little wash in the background, I just used whatever I had on my palette. The cool thing about watercolor is that even if it dries inside of your palette, you can use it. You can keep on using it. And I find it a way to harmonize your paintings as well. Because if those are the colors you're using throughout, you add those to your background, your picture just is going to be naturally harmonized by using the same colors throughout your painting. And there she is, all kind of cute. The back got a little dirty because it got a little bit of watercolor on the back. In the end, I just go ahead and add another little color wash to the back and make it look like it was supposed to be that way. This little hen's going to get a little bit of line work too, doing that very sketchy motion and creating those loose lines. That's what I like to do. If you like yours to be more exact, go ahead and just outline it the way you like it. But I love that loose line quality, so I always use little sketchy patterns when I'm doing the line work. We'll take a closer look at her too in the end. Now that the hens are all dry on my original piece, I can go ahead and take my finger and lightly rub that area, and that's when I'm going to reveal the little star-like patterns underneath. It's a chemical reaction between the salt, the color, and the water. Too much water, you won't get very good of a pattern, but not enough water, the same thing is true. You also need to make sure you do have enough pigment so then the salt can push away that color and create the star patterns underneath. It's a really fun technique to use. It's one of those things just know that you can do with watercolor and incorporate it in where you might think it make a fun pattern with the salt. I think it looks really pretty on these little hens. You'll have to let me know in the comments if you think it was a great technique to use for these little hens as well. I'm going to go ahead and paint the wattles and the beaks and the little combs on the hens all the same way using a brush that's just almost slightly damp and just has the watercolor inside of it. So it's a very strong pigment, and I keep it just on the tip of my brush and I'm tapping in those tiny little areas. You could perhaps do this with a marker too. If you felt more confident doing it that way, you could do it with a marker. It's going to look different than watercolor, but it is a way to be able to do it. Small areas can always be a little bit of a challenge. You can even bump down on your brush size to even use a smaller one to get more exact, if that helps you get in those areas a little easier. The colors I used for the ground was basically what I had on my palette. So there's a little bit of gold there, a little bit of rust color, and even a little bit of that burnt umber. I picked the colors up and I just washed them back and forth in a horizontal pattern, and that will resemble more of the ground if you stroke your brush back and forth that way. And then when I created my background, I used a little bit of the green that was in my palette, and usually there's hooker's green there and perhaps tree green that's a mix sitting off to the side. And then I picked up a little bit of blue called sky blue, and I used that as well. It kind of creates a pretty little turquoisey green color in the background. And that, when I apply it, I just do random directions in my sky. I like that real random look in the background. I add a lot of water to this so it's not overpowering. I want the little hens to be the main focus, so I'm just doing more of a color wash background. I let my painting dry completely, so I was able to start the pen work. I'm using my micron pen in the 01 size again, and I'm doing that very much that loose style on the hens. And then on the ground, I had a few line work of some loose lines, as well as some little dashes to kind of represent some food that these little hens might be eating. I think they look really cute. I added a few little fluffs at the end of their feathers to give it even more of a whimsical look. And for their feet, I just simply draw a simple little line with maybe 3 toes on there. I don't put a lot of detail into the feet, but they are at an angle, so that represents that they're coming across and then they're down. That one I was just pointing out that you want to make sure you're not getting too big with those beaks when you're doing your line work, because my one little chick kind of looked like a duck because her beak got a little too big when I was doing my line work. So kind of keep an eye on that you want to keep your beaks small with these small little chickens. I wanted to share one more idea of what to do with your chickens using a tag. I had some copy paper. It's a great way to use up your scraps creating these little tags. I just used my glue stick and did a random patching of the paper underneath. This is all copy paper images that I have. Nothing fancy. It's just a lightweight copy paper. I'm going to use the glue stick and glue that background on. Once I had all the pieces on, I took a scissors and just trimmed around my tag to clean up the edge. Now that I had painted all of these, what was I going to do with them? I wanted to go ahead and cut them up into individual ones, so I wanted little small mini pieces on there. I was going to be placing those on the top of my tag and creating a little bit of a collage with these watercolor pieces. Once the chickens were all glued down, and the glue stick worked really well to hold the watercolor paper down, I took my stamp that's a non-legible print, inked it, and then pressed a little bit of pattern on the background of the chickens. That's just going to help tie it together so it looks like it's a part of the background with not being a part of the background. Hopefully that makes sense. It was an element that kind of tied it all together. I took the ink and I inked all of the edges as well. I have a little bee stamp, and I took the bee stamp and I added the bee images in some of the open areas that don't have the chickens on it to add another little dimension there. And then I repunched the hole so it was a nice round hole, and took a little bit of the coffee stained kitchen towel that I have that's sitting in my studio. I always have a scrapper pile of that stuff as well. So I took a little bit of that and used that for my ribbon on the top. And then for my little tags, I took some of the baker's twine that is in the baking section, and I used that for the little ties at the top of those. Well, let's take a look at what these pieces look like all finished. If you're new to my channel and you like doing art and crafts, come on over and see what I'm doing. I'd love to have more creative friends join me. Leave me a comment, give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed today's tutorial. If you liked watching this one, here's a couple more videos you might want to check out. Well, thanks for joining me today, and hopefully you'll come back and join me again, and perhaps next time you'll paint right along with me.